Let's rank every equipment from the best to the worst, covering everything that's changed from the new update and balance changes. Let's start off with the Grand Warden, as this is how his equipment ranks from the best to the worst. With the rework to the Eternal Tome and the addition of the Ice Block spell, his best in the S tier has grown to the Fireball, Healing Tome, Rage Gem, and the Eternal Tome. Each of these equipment are just very strong as they offer different playstyles for you to explore. The Eternal Tome is still one of the best equipment due to its invincibility effect, and while leaving it can cause units to take damage again, it's still one of the most flexible and useful abilities in the game. However, with the addition of the Ice Block spell, abilities like the Healing Tome and Rage Gem have found great uses with or without the need of the Eternal Tome. This is mostly due to having effects that synergize with units who might want to be frozen for 7 seconds, especially with having a 80 to 94% damage reduction. You can easily heal right back up to full whether you're using the Healing Tome or raged up healers or druids thanks to the Rage Gem. This overall gives you more options in your attacks and lets your Warden be even more flexible. We cannot forget about the Fireball, as it's still one of the strongest abilities in the game despite being used in just a few armies. This strength carries it as it makes those niche armies very powerful and very difficult to stop, and paired with the Rage Gem, it can allow for the Ice Block to get even more value with healers or druids. Now, outside of his best abilities, the Life Gem now resides in the A tier. Despite being niche to ground armies with troops who have lower HP, this is only getting stronger due to the new buffs to troops like Super Hogs, Throwers, Miners, and Super Bowlers, as well as the addition of the new Ice Block spell. These new changes allow the Life Gem to pair better with equipment like the Healing Tome, Rage Gem, or still the Eternal Tome for most attacks that use lower HP troops. Now this moves us to the Lavaloon Puppet, which is moving to the B tier. Shocking, I know, but the Lavaloon Puppet went from being basically unusable to being a solid option for air-related attacks, which includes troops like dragons, dragon riders, or even super minions. The Lavaloon Puppet's rise is all in part due to the rework to the Eternal Tome and the addition of the Ice Block spell. Both of these have allowed the Lavaloon Puppet to stay alive longer, whether it's from the invincibility of the Eternal Tome or the Ice Block extending their life with a large damage reduction. This overall lets them work well with the Healing Tome or the Eternal Tome, as they offer different benefits but can keep your main air push alive and even provide cleanup. So what are the Warden's new best combos? Well, his third best is easily the Eternal Tome or the Healing Tome with the Life Gem or the Lavaloon Puppet. This might sound crazy, but both tomes do work with both the Life Gem and the Lavaloon Puppet in different situations. The Life Gem is mainly good for ground troops who have lower HP, while the Lavaloon Puppet is best for air armies like dragons or dragon riders. Both tomes in this case work, as they can either offer protection or more healing, which can still keep units alive thanks to the Ice Block spell's addition. While these combos aren't insane by any means, they're viable options that are worth trying out. His second best combo has to be his Fireball and Rage Gem combo. Despite working with just a few armies, this is still very good to use, all in part with how difficult it can be to defend fireball attacks. Additionally, the Ice Block spell allows some armies who use this combo to get even more healing, or using this new spell to keep the Warden safe and stationary so you can safely send a fireball to clear a large area off the base. However, his best combo has to be the Rage Gem with either the Healing Tome or the Eternal Tome. This is easily the most flexible and strongest option the Warden has, as it allows you to have the additional protection while having your troops raged up if you're using the Eternal Tome and the Rage Gem, or having a ton of healing and damage from the Healing Tome Rage Gem combo. This also benefits healers or druids, as the Rage Gem buffs the healers and druids healing output by 50%, while the Ice Block spells allow your troops to get better healing thanks to the damage reduction, and with that, you can easily keep your units alive more often than not while giving them more damage in the process. Moving over to the Minion Prince, this is how his equipment ranks from best to worst. His best option still remains his defaults, the Henchman Puppets and Dark Orb in the S tier. These two abilities are really the only two abilities you need for the Prince if you're using him as a supportive hero. mainly due to having a already really good ability to slow down defenses, while also having an ability to give him much more DPS, survivability from seeking air mines, and even a 1-second invisibility whenever you want. It allows him to be way more flexible and very consistent as a supportive hero for many armies like Root Riders, Dragons, or even Dragon Riders. Another solid option is the Metal Pants in the A tier. While not the most flexible, this does give your minion Prince way more survivability than any other equipment. With a shield that can soak up a lot of damage thanks to the 70% max damage reduction, it can be great if you need a way to keep your Prince alive from things like seeking air mines or air defenses. However, you are sacrificing damage for a lot more survivability if you're running this. However, this is a solid ability while funneling alongside the Noble Iron, as it can soak up damage from the seeking air mines, defenses, or even enemy units while being able to set a solid funnel with the help of the Siege Barrack and the Angry Jelly. Speaking of which, the Noble Iron finds its way to the B tier. While this equipment isn't the greatest at lower Town Hall levels, it finds its way to being a solid option if paired with the Angry Jelly. Since this equipment has similar mechanics to the Royal Champion's Rocket Spears, it can often be used to help funnel with the Siege Barracks thanks to the damage per shot increase, range, and the number of attacks. This pairs well with the Metal Pants when funneling, as you can clear defenses early on while allowing the Prince to stay alive and keep the Siege Barracks and wizards to clear trash buildings safely. However, his new Dark Crown ability is one of his worst in the F tier, as it's really only used with dragon armies and needs a certain amount of troops to die for just a 30% DPS and HP buff, which is honestly not worth it compared to his default combo, as it's not only cheaper, but way more flexible and way more reliable. So what are the Prince's best combos? Well, his third best is the Noble Iron and Metal Pants, as it opens a door to funneling as a good option for the Prince in different armies like Root Riders or Super Witches. You should have the Angry Jelly when using this combo, as it lets your Prince focus on defenses while the Siege Barrack troops focus on trash buildings to help funnel quite consistently. Otherwise, this combo might not be great for those below Town Hall 16. His second best combo is his Metal Pants and Dark Orb, as this allows him to have plenty of survivability while still being able to support your troops with a nice slow on defenses. Now, this does sacrifice damage for the sake of survivability, but if you feel he doesn't need it, he doesn't need to do too much damage, then he can perfectly slot in as a tanky support to keep himself and the troops alive. However, his best is easily his default combo. The Dark Orb and Henchman Puppets have so many benefits to using them together, from the high DPS, decent HP, and a ton of ways to support your troops, and even a 1-second invisibility. It just makes sense to really use it as his best. This should be the only option that you use on him for most strategies due to how flexible and consistent this combo is. Next up is the Barbarian King, where this is how his equipment ranks from best to worst. Easily his best in the S tier is the Spiky Ball. This equipment just has the flexibility and strength to rank it this high, as it works well with equipment like the Earthquake Boots, Giant Gauntlet, Vamp Stash, and the Snake Bracelet. It overall allows you to use your king in plenty of ways, from a funneling hero to a tank to support your main push, or even being used to open up the base and do massive damage to surrounding defenses. It just offers a lot to you that this is easily one of his best. However, the Giant Gauntlet and Earthquake Boots remain within the A tier. These two equipment are still quite solid for what it's worth, as they can work together but can also work in different situations when separated. Using them together does let you run a solid tank wall breaker combo, but using the Giant Gauntlet will allow you to slot it into things like funneling quicker with the Rage Vial, or even being used within a hero dive that uses the Log Launcher, as you can power through the base without needing to worry about opening walls. The Earthquake Boots, on the other hand, are still quite good by itself, especially if you're pairing it with the Spiky Ball, which can help your king do massive damage while still opening up a large area to support your troops. Additionally, the B tier holds the Snake Bracelet and the Rage Vial. These two are still quite good, despite being just average equipment at best. The Snake Bracelet is much better than we previously thought due to its ability to give a large amount of HP to the king, allowing him to survive a lot longer, and with the ability to spawn snakes, he's practically a moving siege barracks. This works best for Root Riders or Dragon armies thanks to the survivability and funneling he can do. The Rage Vial, on the other hand, is mainly only good with the Giant Gauntlet, but it does help it get more value with the speed and damage buff, which can make it a solid choice depending on your army. His other equipment choices in the C and F tier are just not worth using as they don't offer much value to the king, unlike his other equipment choices. So, what are the king's best combos? His third best is easily the Snake Bracelet and Spiky Ball. This combo is often used in hard mode due to the high HP it gives the king, and as such, is often used with Root Riders. This combo gives him a huge amount of HP thanks to both abilities having high HP increased stats, while also allowing the king to snipe buildings with the Spiky Ball and spawn additional snakes via the bracelet to help with funneling. His second best combo has to be the Giant Gauntlet and Rage Vial combo. This combo is still one of his best as it gives you a good blend of survivability with the Gauntlet's damage reduction and Rage Vial's DPS increase. This works quite well in hero dive attacks that use the log launcher, but you can also run this in other armies in case you don't have his best combo leveled up. Speaking of which, his best combo is often the Spiky Ball paired with the Earthquake Boots. This just offers him so much damage and flexibility in multiple attacks from hero dives to smash attacks. It offers him enough damage to clear many buildings while still weakening others around him. This makes it a solid go-to for any army you're using the king with. With the Archer Queen, this is how her equipment ranks from best to worst. Easily her best choices in the S tier have to be the Magic Mirror, Action Figure, and the Giant Arrow. These are some of the most flexible abilities the Queen has to offer. The Magic Mirror is one of her best due to just offering a ton of damage to work with, which allows it to slot in with many different equipment like the Healer Puppets or even the Action Figure. Speaking of which, the Action Figure is easily one of her best as the Giant offers a max total of 18,500 HP, which will keep her protected more often than not, and it can deal quite a bit of damage thanks to the Giant's high DPS both with and without its ability. The Giant Arrow, on the other hand, is one of the most flexible equipment she has as it can be used to snipe air defenses or sweepers or even activate invisibility spell towers and much more. However, we have the Healer Puppets remaining in the A tier. Her Healer Puppets are still quite solid as they offer more than enough survivability, which is very good for nearly every army. This allows you to pair this with equipment like the Magic Mirror or the Giant Arrow to help funnel on the outside of the base, while still having some form of survivability and being able to create a mini Queen Walk in the process to continue the funnel. You can also use it inside the base with the Magic Mirror, but might have some issues with air traps being triggered if used deep into the base. As for her other equipment in the C tier and the F tier, I just wouldn't bother with these as they tend to be quite replaceable by the other higher tier equipment. So, what are the Queen's best combos? Well, her third best still remains the Giant Arrow with the Healer Puppets. This combo offers plenty of benefits as it's a double common setup which allows you to use your Queen for funneling or even sniping air defenses or sweepers or even activating invisibility spell towers. It overall gives you enough flexibility in case you don't have her epic equipment. Her second best is easily still the Magic Mirror and Healer Puppets due to the nice flexibility it has both inside and outside the base. Thanks to the Healer Puppets for the survivability and the Magic Mirror for the damage, you can often use her to help funnel with or without the siege barracks or being used inside the base to deal out damage as long as you have a tank in front of her to take most of that damage. However, her best often remains the Action Figure with either the Magic Mirror or the Giant Arrow. The Action Figure is just impossible to ignore with the high amount of HP it has along with the ability to do huge damage. With it being a tank that goes for defenses, it perfectly synergizes with the use of the Magic Mirror, which enables all three queens to deal out more damage while staying protected. Similar case choice for the giant arrow, as it can keep your queen from taking early damage and will be able to create much better funneling with this guy being in front of her. And finally, we get to the Royal Champion, where this is how her equipment ranks from best to worst. Easily her best options in the S tier still have to be the Electro Boots, Haste Vial, and the Rocket Spears. These are just very strong and very flexible, especially with Royal Champion charges being so common. The Electro Boots are pretty much a need for every army, as it gives the Royal Champion a way to heal and do damage even when not attacking. This pairs well with either the Haste Vial for the faster movement speed and attacking, or the Rocket Spear, as it can clear defenses early on for a Royal Champion charge, or to clear defenses on the back end to help your attacks 3-star without a time fail. As for the A tier, we still have the Hog Puppets there. While it's not the most flexible equipment, it's still quite good within armies that use things like Super Hogs or Miners, as the extra troop space will truly help these units throughout the attack. You can even use this with a back-end Royal Champion to gain nice survivability, 1-second invisibility, and Hog Rider spawns, making this a solid equipment all the way around. Additionally, her Seeking Shield remains in the B tier. This is still an average equipment that you can run with the Rocket Spear to clear out lower tier defenses and even do some decent damage to higher HP defenses. Other than that, you're often not going to run this despite working well with the Rocket Spear. As for her F tier equipment, it's often not worth running thanks to her other equipment just offering better stats and abilities. So what is the Royal Champion's best combos? Well, her third best is still the Rocket Spear and Seeking Shield combo. This is still quite solid thanks to the ability to clear defenses towards the back end of bases, with the shield being able to snipe lower tier defenses, while the spear can deal with higher HP ones, as long as she doesn't get distracted by enemy heroes. As for her second best, her Electro Boots with the Hog Puppets is still a solid choice. This gives you nice benefits from being able to Royal Champion charge, but can still also be used within Super Hog or Mass Miner attacks to provide reinforcement Hog Riders to help the army clear defenses while giving the Royal Champion a ton of survivability. You can also use this on the back end to the same effect as the Shield Spear combo, while not having to worry about skeleton traps. But clearly, her best is still the Electro Boots with either the Rocket Spear or the Haste Vial. These two with the Electro Boots basically are the bread and butter to any Royal Champion charge, as they allow you to either use the Haste Vial to speed it up, especially underneath a Rage spell where the RC will do even more damage, or using the Rocket Spear to clear defenses early on, but it might be a bit slower. But this can also be used on the back end or in the core to clear defenses, while the Electro Boots keep her alive. So here is each hero's tier list, where it ranks their best and worst equipment. However, if you want the best attacks for Town Hall 14s, I recommend checking this video out right here, but also YouTube says this video is actually the best for you.